This project will focus on U.S. foreign aid trends from 2000 to 2010. The allocation of U.S. foreign aid to nations in need is a very pertinent concern in current-day political discussions. Foreign aid is a critical component of U.S. foreign policy, largely due to increasing demands for global human rights and stable power dynamics in developing regions. Foreign aid allows the United States to assist other nations while forging advantageous relationships with key political leaders. While U.S. foreign aid does pose some controversy in its intentions and consequences, it is an important topic of discussion in modern society. While foreign aid is an important topic in the U.S. government, it is shrouded in public misconceptions and misinformation. Based on a 2010 poll by World Public Opinion, Americans believe that 27% of the United States budget goes to foreign aid. But Americans believe that this spending is too high and foreign aid should only constitute 13% of the U.S. budget. However, foreign aid actually only constitutes approximately 1% of the U.S. budget. This graph illustrates the breakdown of the 2010 U.S. budget. The tiny blue sliver on the graph depicts the percentage of foreign assistance. As you can see, the U.S. prioritizes defense, Social Security, and income security in allocating the U.S. budget. From 2000 to 2010, the money and energy dedicated to foreign aid has changed to reflect various political, social, and economic conditions. As the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks prompted dramatic shifts in U.S. foreign policy, 2000 is an important year to begin observations. This graph depicts the quantity of money dedicated to foreign assistance within the range of years. The amount spent on aid is depicted in billions and is adjusted for inflation and currency. With peaks in 2004 and 2010, this graph shows the effects of various political priorities of the time. In 2004, the Bush administration allocated $38.38 billion in total foreign aid, with most dedicated to accelerate reconstruction of Iraq. As an unstable region with links to terrorism, Bush felt it was necessary to oversee reconstruction efforts. In 2010, the Obama administration allocated $39.39 billion in total aid, with a large chunk dedicated to Afghanistan and Pakistan. This was a product of the administration's goal to drastically accelerate political and social progress within the region to provide stability. This graph shows how aid was divided among categories of development humanitarian aid, political strategic development aid, and security aid from 2000 to 2010. Each is shown as a percentage. While the graph remains largely consistent, there is a general trend of more attention to development humanitarian aid and less attention to security aid. However, the clearest outlier is shown in 2004. As you may recall, 2004 was the primary year for Iraq reconstruction. Shown in the light blue bar, political strategic development aid jumped to 45.8% of total aid allocation. The next bar shows the 2004 aid allocation excluding Iraq and resembles the other bars much more closely. So, Iraq reconstruction efforts played a significant role in determining foreign aid divisions. This shift of aid spending to political strategic development is reflected in Bush's goals for foreign aid. He stated, "The point was that countries would never develop without good governance and a fight against corruption. Foreign assistance on any other basis was worse than wasted. It was creating permanent wards of the international system who could never develop for their own people." This image compares foreign aid allocated to countries by region in 2000 and 2010. In 2000, the United States dedicated 60% of its foreign aid budget to the Near East region, with other regions receiving smaller but significant amounts. Compared to 2000, 2010 shows a greater distribution of aid among regions. Africa with 29%, South and Central Asia with 26%, and the Near East at 26%, all having relatively equivalent aid amounts. These shifts are representative of events occurring at the time. Aid in South and Central Asia has increased dramatically due to aid to Afghanistan and Pakistan. Funding to African countries has risen largely due to HIV and AIDS initiatives. Decreased attention to programs in Russia, Ukraine, and Europe or Eurasia is reflected in their reduced regional shares. This graph depicts net official development aid, or ODA, by country in 2000. ODA is a subset of general foreign aid that specifically focuses on the economic development and welfare of developing countries. The graph below indicates that in 2010, the United States donated the most financial aid by far, at $30.4 billion. This is over double the amount the United Kingdom, the second most generous nation, allocates to foreign aid. However, these numbers do not paint the full picture. This graph shows ODA as a percentage of gross national income, or GNI, from 2000 to 2010. The countries depicted on the graph are the 2010 top 10 highest donating countries selected from the previous graph. The United States, on average, holds the lowest percentage of aid, generally donating less than 0.2% of their GNI. Smaller countries such as Sweden and Norway consistently donate 0.8% of their GNI or more. So, while the United States may donate the most aid by quantity, it by no means matches its capabilities. Foreign aid is incredibly relevant in modern-day political discussions. In an increasingly globalized world, the development of nations is a pressing concern for international stability. As shown throughout the presentation, the United States bases its allocation of foreign aid on a variety of factors, including events occurring at the time and its interests in forging relationships with other nations. Additionally, while the U.S. contributes large quantities to aid's efforts, it falls behind when comparing these quantities to its capabilities. The allocation of foreign aid is based on many diverse and complex circumstances and will continue to change as the world changes. Thank you for listening.